Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Gossips 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The pressure at the precipice house had been erecting for days, but no bone could have prognosticated just how violently everything would explode. What started as another uneasy hassle with Sheila Carter snappily entwined into an agony that left Steffy Forrester shaken to her core, and Taylor Hayes fighting for her life. Sheila had been lurking on the outskirts of the Forrester family's world again, showing up where she didn't belong, watching from a distance, fitting herself into exchanges that weren't meant for her. Everyone knew her presence was dangerous, but this time, her preoccupation crossed an intimidating new line. Taylor had only gone to the precipice house to check on Steffy and the kiddies, hoping to offer comfort and stability after weeks of emotional strain. Rather, she walked straight into a hostage situation that would leave the entire family traumatized. Steffy had formerly been on edge that day, seeing commodity was wrong indeed before she realized Sheila was hard. There was a strange silence in the house, the kind that felt heavy and unsettling. When she eventually noticed Sheila standing too close to her mama, her heart dropped. Taylor was trying to remain calm, but the fear in her eyes told the real story. Sheila wasn't just visiting this time. She had a hopeless, unstable look that made it clear she wasn't planning to leave peacefully. Times of manipulation, vengeance, and preoccupation had led to this moment, and Sheila sounded determined to prove that no one could stop her. The situation escalated snappily. Sheila's obsession on Finn, her crooked belief that she still had a place in his life, and her long-standing resentment toward the Forresters had pushed her into a corner. She saw Taylor as a symbol of everything that kept her down from her son and her family. In Sheila's mind, taking Taylor hostage was her way of recovering control. She wanted to shoot a communication, to show Steffy and the rest of the family that she was still a force to be reckoned with. What she didn't completely understand was the emotional desolation she was about to beget. Steffy's response was immediate and raw. Seeing her mama in peril touched off every fear she had ever buried. Taylor had formerly survived so much in her life, from heartache to violence, and now she was facing another life-hanging situation because of Sheila's preoccupation. Steffy's strength atrophied in that moment. She wasn't the confident, intrepid businesswoman or defensive mama presently. She was an alarmed son watching her mama's life hang in the balance. Gashes streamed down her face as she prayed Sheila to leave Taylor alone, her voice breaking under the weight of despair and helplessness. Taylor, for her part, tried to stay composed. She knew that replying with fear would only make effects worse. Times of cerebral training helped her remain outwardly calm, but outside she was alarmed. Sheila was changeable, and that unpredictability made her extremely dangerous. Taylor could smell that Sheila was twisting, her feelings swinging hectically between wrathfulness, preoccupation, and a hopeless need to feel important. Every movement felt parlous. One wrong word, one wrong look could push Sheila over the edge. The atmosphere inside the precipice house was suffocating. The air felt heavy with pressure, and time sounded to decelerate down. Steffy's cries echoed through the room, her emotional pain cutting through the silence. She wasn't just hysterical of losing her mama. She was reliving once traumas, the memory of Sheila's former attacks, the shots, the blood, the fear that had formerly nearly destroyed her family. Those injuries were no way truly healed, and now they were being ripped open each over again. Sheila, meanwhile, sounded nearly detached from the chaos she was causing. In her crooked mind, she believed she was fighting for her place in Finn's life. She saw herself as the victim, induced that Steffy and Taylor had stolen her son from her. This distorted reality fueled her conduct. She didn't see Taylor as a mortal being with a family who loved her. She saw her as an handicap, someone who stood in the way of her crooked interpretation of happiness. The peril of the situation came sorrowfully clear when Sheila's grip on Taylor tensed. Steffy's fear reached a breaking point. She had faced important business rivals, family dishonors, and particular tragedies, but nothing compared to watching her mama's life being hovered right in front of her. Her gashes weren't just from fear. They were from rage, frustration, and the crushing consummation that some people like Sheila could no way truly change. Outside, the rest of the family was beginning to sense that commodity was wrong. Finn, Ridge, and Brooke all felt the pressure indeed before they knew the full story. When word reached them that Taylor was being held hostage, Fear spread snappily. For Finn, the situation was especially ruinous. Sheila was his natural mama, and yet she was formerly again venturing the people he loved most. The guilt and conflict tore him piecemeal. He'd spent so long trying to believe there was good in Sheila, hoping she could change, but this proved just how dangerous that stopgap had been. Inside the precipice house, Steffy's emotional breakdown continued. She contended for her mama's safety, her voice shaking, her eyes filled with gashes. She wasn't allowing about business, character, or family politics presently. All that signified was keeping Taylor alive. The strength Steffy generally carried so confidently was replaced by vulnerability, showing just how deeply she loved her mama. Taylor was her anchor, her companion, her source of comfort through every storm. Losing her wasn't an option Steffy could indeed reuse. Taylor tried to assure Steffy with calm expressions and steady breathing, quietly encouraging her son to stay strong. She knew Steffy demanded to believe there was stopgap. Indeed, if the situation looked bleak, Taylor's courage in that moment wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, steady, and embedded in a continuance of adaptability. She refused to let Sheila see her fear, knowing that fear was exactly what Sheila wanted. The emotional weight of the moment pressed down on everyone involved. Steffy's gashes soaked into the memory of that day, marking it as one of the most painful jests of her life. She had always fought to cover her family, but this time she felt helpless. That helplessness was more intimidating than any physical trouble. Watching someone you love face peril without being suitable to stop it's a special kind of torture, and Steffy felt every second of it. Ultimately, the situation reached a breaking point. The pressure came unsupportable, and Sheila's unstable jest made it clear that this couldn't continue. Whether through outside intervention or Sheila's own unraveling, the standoff eventually came to an end. But the emotional damage had formerly been done. Taylor was physically shaken, Steffy was emotionally shattered, and the entire Forrester family was formerly again reminded that Sheila Carter was a peril they could no way underrate. In the fate, the precipice house felt different. The walls sounded to hold on to the fear, the gashes, and the recollections of that intimidating day. Steffy plotted to recapture her sense of normality. She had agonies, moments of fear, and swells of wrathfulness that came without warning. The image of her mama in peril replayed in her mind over and over, refusing to fade. For Taylor, the experience left deep emotional scars as well. Being held hostage isn't commodity anyone just gets over, no matter how strong they are. Finn faced his own emotional reckoning. Sheila's conduct forced him to defy the painful verity that his natural connection to her would always come with consequences. He loved Steffy, he loved his family, and he wanted to cover them. But as long as Sheila remained free, that protection would no way feel complete. The guilt he carried was heavy, and the fear of what Sheila might do coming visited him constantly. Brooke and Ridge also felt the ripple goods of the extremity. They had seen their families torn piecemeal by Sheila before, and now it was passing again. The emotional risk was inarguable. Every Forrester gathering felt more fragile, every moment of happiness shadowed by the possibility of another disaster. Trust was shaken, jitters were raw, and the sense of safety they formerly took for granted was gone. Steffy, still, surfaced from the fire with a renewed determination. Her gashes that day weren't a sign of weakness. They were a testament to how deeply she loved her family. The fear she felt only strengthened her resoluteness to cover those she watched about. She came indeed more watchful, more guarded, and more willing to take action if it meant keeping Sheila down from her favored bones. Taylor, too, set up strength in survival. Though shaken, she refused to let Sheila define her future. She concentrated on mending, on being present for her children, and on reclaiming her sense of peace. The trauma would always be part of her story, but it wouldn't be the end of it. As for Sheila, her conduct only corroborated her character as one of the most dangerous numbers in Los Angeles. The hostage situation wasn't just another reproach, it was a stark memorial of how far she was willing to go. Her preoccupation, her insecurity, and her turn down to accept boundaries made her a constant trouble. And while she may believe she's fighting for love, the verity is that she leaves nothing but fear and destruction in her wake. The emotional impact of that day will echo through the lives of everyone involved for a long time. Steffy's gashes, Taylor's courage, and the family's collaborative trauma serve as important monuments of how fragile life can be. In a world filled with glamour, business battles, and romantic drama, moments like these cut deeper because they strike at the heart of what truly matters: family, safety, and the hopeless stopgap that the people you love will survive the darkness. In the days following the hostage fire, the Forrester family plotted to return to any sense of normality. The world outside continued moving, business meetings proceeded, and life in Los Angeles carried on as if nothing had happened, but inside the hearts of those involved, everything felt different. The Precipice house, once a symbol of comfort and stability, now carried the unnoticeable weight of fear and trauma. Steffy set up it delicate to walk through the same apartments without feeling a rush of anxiety. Every quiet moment reminded her of how near she had come to losing her mama. The recollections were pictorial, protrusive, and insolvable to ignore. Taylor tried to remain strong for her children, but the emotional scars ran deep. Being held hostage wasn't just a shocking experience, it was a violation of her sense of safety. She had spent times helping others heal from trauma, yet now she set up herself facing the same long road of recovery. Simple effects like hearing unforeseen noises or being alone in a room touched off swells of apprehension. Indeed so, Taylor refused to let fear define her. She concentrated on resting herself, leaning on her family, and reminding herself that she had survived. Steffy's emotional state was far more fragile than she wanted to admit. On the face, she returned to work, took care of her children, and maintained her usual confidence. But beneath that strong surface, she was still shaking. Her studies constantly replayed the image of Sheila standing too close to her mama, the fear she felt when she realized how dangerous the situation had come, and the helplessness that overwhelmed her. The idea that Sheila could appear again at any moment visited her. Finn tried to support Steffy in every way he could, but his own guilt complicated effects. He knew that Sheila's presence in their lives was tied to him, and no matter how important he loved Steffy, he couldn't abolish that connection. Watching his woman break down emotionally forced him to defy the painful verity that his natural mama was a trouble, not just to their relationship, but to their family's safety. The stopgap he formerly had for Sheila's redemption sluggishly faded, replaced by fear and disappointment. The children, too, tasted the pressure. They didn't know every detail of what had happened, but they felt the shift in the atmosphere. Steffy became more defensive, more conservative, and less willing to let her guard down. Sportful moments were frequently intruded by anxious ganders toward the door or windows, as if peril might suddenly reappear. The innocence that formerly filled the Precipice house was replaced by quiet alert. Brooke and Ridge were deeply affected as well. They had seen Sheila beget chaos before, but this time felt different. Taylor wasn't just another victim of Sheila's schemes, she was family. The hostage situation forced them to defy how vulnerable their loved bones truly were. Ridge, in particular, plotted with passions of wrathfulness and remorse. He wished he'd done more to help Sheila from getting close again. The guilt counted heavily on him, making him more determined than ever to cover his family. At Forrester Creations, whispers about the incident spread snappily. The glamorous world of fashion couldn't hide the darker reality of what the family was facing. Workers noticed the pressure, the distracted expressions, and the emotional distance that sounded to loiter. Steffy tried to stay focused on work, but her heart wasn't completely in it. Every meeting felt secondary to the safety of her favored bones. Taylor's recovery came a quiet, private battle. She didn't want to be seen as fragile, but the verity was that trauma doesn't simply vanish. Some nights sleep came fluently. Other nights her mind replayed every intimidating moment. She set up comfort in familiar routines, long exchanges with her children, and moments of reflection. Sluggishly, she began to rebuild her sense of peace, though the scars remained. Meanwhile, Sheila's shadow still impended over the family. Indeed, when she wasn't physically present, the fear she had created dallied. The query of her coming move kept everyone on edge. The Forresters knew her patterns each too well: vanish, resurface, and strike when least anticipated. This constant trouble made it insolvable to truly relax. Steffy's emotional strength was tested daily. She had always been a fighter, but this battle felt different. It wasn't about business rivals or family dissensions. It was about survival. Her gashes during the hostage situation weren't just a moment of weakness. They were a reflection of how deeply she loved her mama, and how alarmed she was of losing her. That vulnerability changed her. She became more open about her fears, further honest about her feelings, and more willing to lean on those she trusted. Taylor and Steffy grew near than ever after the fire. Their bond, formerly strong, became unbreakable. They spent further time together, participating in quiet moments that didn't bear words. Occasionally, simply being in the same room was enough. The experience reminded them how precious their relationship was, and how snappily life could change. Finn's internal struggle continued. He felt torn between his fidelity to Steffy and the painful reality of his natural connection to Sheila. The hostage incident forced him to draw firmer boundaries. He knew that guarding his family meant accepting that Sheila could no way be a part of their lives. That consummation came with its own sense of grief, indeed if it was necessary. The emotional impact of the extremity extended beyond the immediate family. Musketeers and cousins offered support, but also carried their own fear. Everyone understood that Sheila's conduct weren't insulated. They were part of a long pattern of insecurity that had formerly caused immense damage over the times. The question wasn't if she'd return, but when. As time passed, the family tried to rebuild a sense of normality. Fests were quieter, horselaugh was softer, and joy felt more fragile. Yet, there was also adaptability. The Forresters had survived innumerous storms, and this was just another test of their strength. They leaned on each other, drawing comfort from participated jests and collective support. Steffy, in particular, set up new purpose in guarding her family. Her instincts came sharper, her mindfulness heightened. She refused to let fear control her, indeed though it followed her far and wide. Rather, she conducted that fear into determination. She became more visionary, more conservative, and more set for whatever might come next. Taylor's mending trip was slow but meaningful. She concentrated on tone care, reflection, and reconnecting with what made her feel predicated. The hostage situation had shaken her, but it had also reminded her of her inner strength. She wasn't just a victim of Sheila's conduct, she was a survivor. Ridge and Brooke worked to maintain stability within the family. They knew that consanity was essential in times like these. Every discussion, every decision carried further weight. They wanted to produce in terrain where everyone felt safe, indeed if that safety was only emotional. The memory of that intimidating day no way completely faded. It became a part of the family's story, a memorial of how snappily effects could helical out of control. But it also became a symbol of their adaptability. They had faced peril, fear, and query, and they had come through it together. Sheila's conduct left an endless mark on everyone involved. The emotional injuries ran deep, but they also revealed the strength of the bonds between the Forresters. Steffy's gashes, Taylor's courage, and the family's unvarying support for one another became important monuments of what truly signified. In the end, the hostage extremity wasn't just a shocking event. It was a turning point. It changed how the family saw the world, how they defended each other, and how they valued every moment together. The fear may no way completely vanish, but neither will their determination to stand strong in the face of it. And as life at the Precipice House sluggishly returned to a fragile sense of peace, one verity remained clear: the Forresters would no way take safety, family, or love for granted again.